My name is Megan Nilsson. I go by Crypto Megan. I am a high-end crypto and NFT portfolio and Web3 strategy consultant for brands, companies, celebrities, and investors. And I'm currently on a world tour to educate about Web3, anywhere from beginner to C-level executive. I'm really passionate about this movement, and I really want to propel this forward. And, you know, it's very interesting. It's a small crowd today, but what that tells me is that, you know, it's not the same atmosphere as it was last NFT.NYC. Money was flowing, the parties were a bit more lavish, you know, but the people who are here is because you really, really care about learning, about moving forward, about doing things, about building this together, and that just warms my heart, you know. So I started out by giving lectures. I've been in crypto for many, many years, and I started out by giving lectures at our country club in Spain, where we live, in Marbella, Spain. I'm from LA, but we live there. And I noticed that the crowd was predominantly male, middle-aged male, white men. So there weren't any women, there wasn't any diversification, and I saw that there was a need, a big need to get this out there, to get more women involved, to teach women, to educate, and just to kind of like share my experience around the world. So I decided to do that, and I've been speaking at conferences all over the world. I did 50 plus events last year. And let me tell you, it's not always the biggest ones that are the best. Sometimes you find those pockets of value at these small, intimate events where we're just having a conversation, basically. This is what I'm doing with you guys right now. And, you know, I hosted Web Summit last year, which is a tech event. I'm trying to get brands involved, and there were 77,000 plus people. It was the first year they opened the crypto stage again after 4 years. And then the FTX thing happened. So we've gone through hurdles in this space. We've gone through, you know, so many trials and tribulations, but we're here to tell the story, and we're going to continue, and we're going to be here because this is what happens when new technology comes out. We've got to go through this phase. And so I thank you all for being there in the audience. If you do scan the QR code, I have been traveling the world far and wide to find the best protocols, the best kind of projects that are out there right now to help propel this space forward. And so what's in there is something called Ethermail. It's a Web3 email. So basically you just connect your wallet, and you'll have your wallet address, just like mine is cryptomegan.eth at ethermail.io, and you won't have to share any of your personal details. You'll get 250 of their tokens for signing up, which is cool. And that's how you can interact with brands. And I say this because this is going to be a big part of onboarding new people into this industry and brands. How do we directly connect with our holders who have certain NFTs who appeal to us without having to know all their personal information? So for the first time, the user is benefited and the company, and that's how this is going to work, and we have a chance to get this right this time after not getting it right for the last 30 years. So I'm going to explain a little more about that, but please explore that. If you didn't scan that yet, scan it. You'll be able to sign up and connect your wallet, and it's really, really cool, and you can sign up for your favorite brands. Also to my platform, where I'll be releasing exclusive you know, information and details and benefits for people who are in my community on the Ethermail channel. So it's basically like the MailChimp of Web3. And so here are all the different use cases. You know, Jackie did a great job at explaining some of those, but basically NFTs will start cars, open houses, gate real-world events, represent ownership contracts for $1 million real-world assets, and the JPEG is just a test to whether you're paying attention to what's underneath the surface. Right, so so I'm going to go over all of these in depth. I do want to invite you guys all who are here today to join my private group. So come up to me afterwards and see it. It's I want you guys to have that value, because my goal is to provide as much value as I can when I'm doing these talks around the world. And I'll upload all my presentations, and there's a lot of good stuff in here because 10 minutes is really short. So oops. I think I jumped. Oh, okay, there. So one of them is obviously real estate, and that's like a picture of a house in Marbella, Spain, where we live, a villa. And you know, they're just now catching on to the fact that the more eyeballs that are on something, the higher the value will be. And so there's people that are starting to accept Bitcoin, or for partial payments, or payments for the fees and all of that. And the good thing is that you can literally make this transaction from anywhere around the world within 10 minutes and literally own a house deed. Like, when I say they're going to run our entire lives, they're not going to be called NFTs. They're just going to, that's just what it's going to be. A contract, our house deed. It is an NFT. It's the actual thing is baked into the code. So this is a fashion show I hosted in the metaverse, a New York fashion show for Vivian Tam. She's a high-end fashion designer. And it was really cool, and these are the kind of things that are going to get this space moving forward as well. It was very easy. The stress test was that my dad literally showed up. So basically, I was on my computer at home, I dressed up, and my bubble is somewhere around there. And these are the VIP seatings here, so it was just like a real fashion show. And we all congregated from around the world, Hong Kong, LA, everybody was there. And what you see there was like a mere replica of what was happening in the physical world. So we got to talk actually to the people at the event through portals in the metaverse, and it was really cool. And this is kind of like the future. Is I see it as a seamless bridge between the digital and the physical world, and it really felt like we were there, and we really got to interact. In fact, when you went in the VIP area, it said gated. This is only for VIP people, and you're literally in a digital space. So it felt so real. And these are some of the cool things that are going on. I'm just going to touch on this briefly because usually I get really in depth with this because I just did a conference in December with Kevin O'Leary and Anthony Scaramucci about how to onboard the next billion users. And let's face it, Kevin O'Leary is not the best credible source now, but one of the things we were talking about is loyalty programs, being able to target users. Tiffany did this marketing thing where they sold about 700 to 750 or 250 CryptoPunks for $50,000 each, a CryptoPunk necklace, and a total of $12 million sales with zero marketing spend. And that's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that brands can now contact their holders directly and provide them value, and then have them in their notebook of like, okay, these people are interested in high-end jewelry, and I can retarget them down the way only based on what they hold in their wallet. I don't care who they are, what background they are, what religion, what gender. You now can access people directly because you can see what they hold in their wallet, and that's super cool. And Ticketmaster just launched their NFTs. Now they're going to make tickets NFTs, which is also a step in the right direction. One of the things, so I'm launching a podcast next week. My main goal is to onboard people from Web 2 to get them interested in Web 3. Introduce them, not onboard them. I was actually told that by a friend that if you say onboard, it sounds like we're another alien planet, but actually we're just another layer of the internet. So we introduce them, and I want to get them interested based on their favorite figures in the mainstream world to actually learn about what they're doing and get them into the Web 3 world. So my podcast is for industry leaders and celebrities that are actually doing meaningful things in Web 3. And I actually just recorded an episode in Hollywood a couple days ago with Champ Medici, who is Snoop Dogg's son and Snoop Dogg's dad, actually, which was amazing because I got to see all of the generations of family there. We talked about the evolution of music and how that happens, and it's really cool because now we're at a point where Snoop Dogg's actually innovating. He's actually, baking that into. I downloaded some of his music NFTs, and I can use those in my podcast now. Like this is the whole new way of doing things, and actually, I don't even want to go over my presentation anymore because I want to tell you guys some really important topics that we discussed. So IP, intellectual property, that's one of the most important points of this whole thing. I don't know if there's any Doodles holders in the audience or if you know about Doodles, but Doodles is basically trying to bridge, Funko toys. They have physical like figurines, right? That's a $900 million industry, and the digital version of that is right around the corner. And people don't realize that actually we can have that in the digital world, and people are going to want to collect those in the digital world. Technology is meant to bring joy to people, so it's exactly what Snoop Dogg is doing. He's using his IP. Champ Medici, they're using their IP to create businesses that benefit holders, consumers, everybody. I mean, this movement is going to have to happen. We're going to have to build this from the inside out, not from the outside in. We are literally shaping this movement, and the suits and the brands want in. And so it's our responsibility as industry leaders, as people who are, involved at the cutting edge of this, pioneers, to guide them. And that's what my goal is with the podcast. So that's launching next week. And I wanted to talk to you for my last 38 seconds here about the movie Air. Has anybody seen the movie Air in the audience yet? Because this might be a little bit of a spoiler alert, but so there's one scene at the end where it's all about Michael Jordan and how they made actually my husband's wearing those shoes right now, those shoes right there, Michael Jordan Air Jordans, right? And so they came to a point in Nike where they were kind of failing, they weren't working, Adidas was winning, all of the other brands were dominating, and one guy said, let's take a risk, let's do things differently, let's get Jordan on. Right? So they do all these things. They're going to take this risk. They're going to go out on a limb. And they call Jordan, and they finally get him in after all these trials and tribulations. And his mom calls, and she says, hey, my son is in on one condition. we want royalties on every sale of those Jordans for the life of that Jordan shoe, because it's not fair that the creator, the people who are working to help your image, to help your brand, don't get some of that share. And that was revolutionary, because at that moment, everything shifted. That was a paradigm shift. And that's what we're doing here now. We're allowing creators to have freedom. On the other side of this, what's worth fighting for, which we need to remember what we're doing here as a community, as brands, as building, as to the outside world, what's on the other side of this is worth fighting for, and that's freedom. That's freedom for creators, for, cutting out the middleman, for musicians that can now make money on their music for the first time ever without having millions of streams. Literally, Spotty Wi-Fi, he just sold $200,000 worth of NFTs in 1 minute to 700 fans. With 1,000 fans, an indie artist can make a living now, and that's revolutionary. So, those Jordans, they kind of like signify what's coming up in the future, is that everything is going to be an NFT. We're all going to be able to share in those profits, and there will be distribution of that profit for the first time in 30 years. So this is really revolutionary, and I didn't have a lot of time to get into the rest of my presentation because I'm really passionate about this, but I really want to send this to everybody in the audience because there's really good stuff in there. So please connect with me on Instagram. It's Crypto Megan. And I would love to add you to my group, and thank you guys so much for being here.
Let's have a round of applause for Crypto Megan, an absolute legend in this space.